Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking through some player props I'm liking on Prizepicks for the Week 7 NFL slate. We're going to break down 3 plays I'm liking for the games on Sunday, and as always, we're going to talk through these plays and we're going to share why I like them. Now, before we do get started, make sure that you guys hit that like button down below if you enjoy these Prizepicks videos. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button as well, and if you guys are new to Prizepicks, and if you don't have an account over there, go sign up, use that promo code NOAH. When you do sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code and play $5, you're going to get $50 worth of free lineups, again, just for signing up and using code NOAH. And I do want to shout out Prizepicks because they do have a free square available for the NBA season, which does start on Tuesday. NBA season is right around the corner. Prizepicks has a free square. Steph Curry's points prop is set at 0.5. This is a free pick available to everyone. So this is just another incentive to sign up for Prizepicks right now. When you sign up, make an account, you'll get that free square, and you can use that towards any lineup. You don't have to use it with the NBA, so if you don't follow the NBA, that's totally okay. You can take that free square and pair it with props that you like for NFL for this Sunday. So go sign up for Prizepicks, guys. Use the free square. Get those $50 in free lineups. Again, you'll get access to all that when you sign up with code NOAH. And then also, we do have a partnership with Sleeper, so I want to give a quick shout out to Sleeper. If you guys don't have an account over on Sleeper, you can download the Sleeper app, use promo code NOAH over there, get your first deposit matched up to $100, and you'll also get a free $20 entry. So if you look here to my left, free $20 entry just for signing up and using code NOAH, and you don't have to make a deposit to get that entry. You'll get that entry just for signing up. So this is going to be an easy way for you to try out the Sleeper app without even having to put any money in. And if you win money off that free $20 entry, well, that's just going to be a way for you to easily kickstart your bankroll on Sleeper. You'll have a bankroll to work with, and you didn't even have to put any money in. So go check out Sleeper, guys. Again, download their app, get that free promo, the free $20 entry, and you'll still get that 100% match on your first deposit as well when you sign up with promo code NOAH. But yeah, let's talk about some Week 7 Prizepicks plays. So before we do talk through our plays for this Sunday, I want to recap the plays that we gave out in our video last Sunday. So we gave out 3 picks last Sunday, went 2-1. We did cash on Justin Herbert over 18.5 fantasy score, cashed on T. Higgins over 6 targets. Unfortunately, though, we missed on Quinshaw Judkins over 9.5 receiving yards. Judkins, he only got 1 target, had 0 receiving yards last week. A little bit frustrating because going into the week, he had at least like 2 or 3 targets in every single game, but just wasn't as involved in the passing game last week as I, kind of would have hoped and would have expected. But still went 2-1 last week. Did go 2-0 on the 2 plays that we gave out for Thursday Night Football a couple days ago. So hopefully you guys tailed those Thursday Night Football plays. But yeah, we got the Sunday slate to attack here. I got 3 plays. Let's go ahead and break them down. So the first prop that I like for Sunday is actually going to be in the London game. So there's a game at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time between the Rams and the the Rams and the Jaguars. I'm assuming they're playing this in London. It's going to be played out of the country, so it starts at 9:30. But the prop that I like in this game is Jordan Whittington, and we're going to take him for more than 5 targets. So if you look, Jordan Whittington has not gone over this line in any games this season. So you're probably wondering, why do I like this over? Well, the Rams are going to be without Puka Nacua this week. Puka Nacua has already been ruled out for this game. And taking Puka Nacua off the field opens up so many targets because Puka Nacua has averaged over 10 targets per game this season. He's had 65 targets through 5 games, or through 6 games. So yeah, he's averaging like 10.5, something like that, 10.5 targets per game, just getting a ton of targets. Getting Puka off the field is going to allow a lot of these other guys to soak up volume. Now, sure, we expect Davante Adams to lead the team in targets. Davante Adams has a 10.5 targets prop. Clearly, Prizepicks, they're expecting a lot of volume here for Davante Adams. But I think the guy that's could be the guy that is second on the team in targets is Jordan Whittington. Jordan Whittington is a player that has shown an ability to earn targets when given opportunity. And you look last season, he did actually play a couple games last season without Puka Nacua. He did play, it looks like he played 6 games without Puka last year. It looks like he played 6 games without Puka last year. Did go over this targets prop in 2 of those games. 2 of the games where he went over, he had 10 targets, he had 8 targets. And I think some of those games were with Cooper Kupp as well. So, obviously, you take out Cooper Kupp, you replace Cooper Kupp with Davante Adams, so that's obviously a high target guy. But I want to say Whittington did play. Some of these games that were without Puka last year were still with Cooper Kupp, I believe. And obviously Cooper Kupp, when he was healthy, he was a high target guy. for the Rams. It looks like, let's see. So it looks like that game was, the Cooper Kupp didn't play in that game. Okay, maybe Cooper Kupp didn't play in most of these games. It looks like Cooper Kupp didn't. Okay, Cooper Kupp did play in that game against Arizona, but most of the games he did play without Cooper Kupp and without Puka. But like he had a 10-target game, he had an 8-target game, he had a 4-target game. So like he has shown an ability to earn targets when given opportunity. And now you take Puka off the field. That's just going to open up a ton of volume, a ton of opportunity for some of these other receivers. I expect Whittington to be on the field for a large majority of the offensive snaps. He should be out there in like all the 3 wide receiver sets. He might even be out there on like 2 wide receiver sets. He's a guy that they can use on the outside. He can also play in the slot as well. Last week, I want to say he did play a good amount of snaps last week. Obviously, Puka did get injured last week. He did wind up coming back into the game, but he didn't really play a full allotment of snaps. He only played 27 snaps last week. But yeah, Jordan Whittington led the team in snaps last week, 49 snaps played. So Whittington should be on the field a ton. He should be running routes, should have the opportunity to earn targets here. And this Rams team, they've been relatively pass heavy so far this season. Matthew Stafford has had a lot of pass attempts through 3 or 4 or through his last few games. I mean, last week didn't really have to have a bunch of pass attempts because they were playing with a big lead against Baltimore, but in the game against the 49ers, he had 47 pass attempts. I know that game went to overtime, but still, he had 41 against against the Colts, 33 against the Eagles, 33 against the Titans. So this is a spot where we can project Matthew Stafford for probably close to 35, if not over 35 pass attempts. It's a 3-point spread, so this game should be relatively competitive. It shouldn't be. Hopefully, it won't be one of those games where the Rams get a big lead and they can kill the clock and run the ball. I don't think that projects to be this type of game environment, game script. Obviously, that was the case last week because they did have a pretty good lead against Baltimore and they were able to kind of just run the ball. But in games that have been competitive, in games that have been like one-score games, I mean, Matthew Stafford's had 29, 33, 33, 41, 47 pass attempts. Like, this could be another spot where he's got close to 40 pass attempts. And if he's going to have that much volume through the air, I think there's a very good chance that Jordan Whittington, one of his top wide receivers this week, probably gets at least 5 targets. So I do like that as our first prop for Sunday. Next prop I like is going to be a prop on Breece Hall. So Breece Hall, looking at his fantasy score line this week of 16, I like the over here, more than 16 fantasy score for Breece Hall. So the Jets, they're coming into this game a little bit banged up at wide receiver. Garrett Wilson, not expected to play this week, so they're going to be without their top wide receiver. I want to say they actually have, I think they have some other injuries too. I think they actually have another wide receiver out, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe not. But yeah, Garrett Wilson is out this week. They're dealing with some injuries at wide receiver. Without Garrett Wilson, I mean, the Jets are already like one of the most run-heavy teams, but without their top wide receiver, you would expect them to probably really lean on their running game here, lean on Breece Hall, lean on Justin Fields' legs. Obviously, the Jets' offense has been really, really bad this season. They were terrible in that game against the Broncos last week in London. Couldn't do anything on offense. Justin Fields was terrible. You would think going back home, getting a home matchup against the Panthers, this should be a good bounce back spot for the Jets here. And the Panthers have historically been a really, really bad run defense. Now this season, the Panthers' run defense hasn't been quite as bad as they were last year. But like last year, the Panthers had, I think, the worst run defense in the NFL. I think they gave up the most fantasy points per game to running backs. They haven't been quite that bad this year, but this should still be a really good spot overall for Breece Hall. And Breece Hall has a very, very good role right now. Without Braylon Allen, who's injured, Breece Hall is playing a ton of snaps. He's getting a ton of volume. Last week, I'm pretty sure he played a season high in snaps in that game against the Broncos. Played 74% of the offensive snaps, which was a season high for him. Now, he wasn't very effective in that game. He got good volume. He had 22 carries, but he only had 59 yards on 22 carries. But still, got 22 touches last week. The game before that, 14 carries and 4 receptions, so he had 18 touches. The game before that, 14 carries and 5 receptions, so 19 touches. He's probably going to get like 18 to 22 touches here. Like, he's going to get a ton of volume, and he should be pretty efficient in this matchup because, like I said, the Panthers have historically been a team you can run against. They've historically been a team that has struggled to stop the run. This should be a spot where Hall can be effective on the ground. And Hall is also a very good pass catcher, which is huge for Prizepicks fantasy score because for fantasy score on Prizepicks, you do get a point per reception. And Hall, he can get 4, 5, 6 receptions. Like, he's got that kind of receiving upside. You look at his projections. I mean, he's projected for close to 100 total yards. His receptions prop is set at 2.5. It's heavily favored to go over. So If we just give him 100 yards, 3 receptions, that's 13 fantasy points. And then you have to factor in touchdowns. Hall has not scored a touchdown at all this season, but the books are putting him up for a touchdown, and they're giving you the opportunity to bet the under. I feel like this is a spot where Hall gets into the end zone. That's just a gut feeling. I don't have any data to back that up, but the fact that he hasn't scored a touchdown all season, and now he has a prop up for a touchdown. A lot of people, a lot of casuals are probably going to see this and want to take the under because he hasn't scored a touchdown all year. But this could definitely be the spot where he gets into the end zone facing a Panthers defense that will give up touchdowns to running backs. They gave up a ton of touchdowns to running backs last year. Wouldn't be surprised if you see Hall find the end zone this week. So 16 fantasy score, like him to go over this line. Just think he has a lot of ways to go over this line, whether it be he gets it done as a runner, as a pass catcher, a little bit of both, maybe gets into the end zone. A lot of ways for Breece Hall to get 16 fantasy points. So I do like that as our second prop for Sunday. And then our last prop is going to be on Michael Carter. So Michael Carter, looking at his fantasy score line as well, 8.5. And I also like the over here, more than 8.5 fantasy score on Michael Carter. Now, Michael Carter has had the opportunity to play more for the Cardinals, really just because they've been so injured at the running back position. James Conner out for the season, and then Trey Benson, their backup to James Conner, he got injured as well. So now they're basically left with Michael Carter and Bam Knight. They did have Amari DiMercato playing some running back as well, but Amari DiMercato is also injured. So really, I'm pretty sure right now they only have 2 running backs on their roster, Michael Carter and Bam Knight. Maybe they call somebody up from the practice squad just to get some additional depth, but it looks like this is basically going to be a 2-man committee between Carter and Knight. And we did get a report last week that Bam Knight was going to start ahead of Michael Carter. And Bam Knight, I think he did score a touchdown last week, but he wasn't very effective. He had 11 carries for 34 yards and 1 touchdown. Did have 1 catch for 20 yards, but he only averaged 3 yards per carry. Carter wasn't much better. Carter had 9 carries for 34 yards, but Carter was pretty effective in the passing game. Did get 5 targets last week, had 2 catches for 30 yards. They did play last week without Kyler Murray. They had Jacoby Brissett at quarterback last week. Kyler Murray, I believe, is expected to be back. He's listed as questionable. I think he'll probably have a chance to return. Maybe. I'm not exactly sure. Honestly, I think if Jacoby Brissett is starting at quarterback again for the Cardinals, that's probably not the worst thing for Michael Carter, because Michael Carter showed to be a good receiver last week, a good pass-catching running back, and I think Jacoby Brissett is one of those quarterbacks that will definitely check it down to the running back when he can. Carter did have 5 targets last week, but 8.5 fantasy score, this is just a low line on Michael Carter, given the fact that he's probably going to get 10 to 12 touches here, just because the Cardinals, they're so thin at running back. Carter's projected for about 50 total yards. He's favored to get 2 catches. So if he gets 50 yards and 2 catches, that's 7 fantasy points. He's almost over this fantasy score line, even without factoring in touchdown potential. Now, Carter didn't score a touchdown last week, but they gave an end zone or a goal line carry to Bam Knight last week. Maybe they give a goal line carry to Michael Carter this week. It wouldn't be surprising if Carter gets into the end zone. But in the game that they played against Tennessee, where they were without Trey Benson, they were without James Conner. Carter was effective. He wasn't super efficient, but he got a ton of volume. 18 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown. Also had 5 catches for 22 yards. And then last week, not as much volume, but was still getting plenty of work in the passing game, which is great. 2 catches for 30 yards on 5 targets. Also had 9 carries for 34 yards. Look, 8.5 fantasy points for a running back that can catch passes is not hard to get. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Carter go over this line even without scoring a touchdown. He could easily have 20, 30 rushing yards, and then he gets 3 or 4 catches for 20 yards. He's just got a lot of ways he can go over 8.5 fantasy score. They seem like they want to use him in the passing game. I don't think they really want to use Bam Knight in the passing game, so I think Carter's a guy that could get some usage in the passing game here. I do also like him for more than 14.5 receiving yards. I think that's a pretty good play as well on Michael Carter, but the fantasy score line at 8.5, just because he has more outs to go over fantasy score, he can get there on yards, receptions, touchdowns, more outs to cash that fantasy score line, but I do like him to also go over 14.5 receiving yards. Just expecting a good role here from Michael Carter. I think 10 to 12 touches is definitely in his range of outcomes. If he gets that type of volume, even in a pretty bad matchup against the Packers, if he gets 10 to 12 touches, I think he's got a good chance of going over 8.5 fantasy score. So that's what I'm liking, guys, is our 3 props for this Sunday slate for Week 7. We're going to take Jordan Whittington for more than 5 targets. We're going to take Breece Hall for more than 16 fantasy score, and we're going to take Michael Carter for more than 8.5 fantasy scores. So hopefully we can go 3-0 this week. We can hit all 3 of these plays and make some money on this NFL slate. As always, guys, appreciate you watching these Prizepicks videos. Appreciate your support. Make sure to hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys don't have an account over on Prizepicks, make sure to go sign up for Prizepicks. Use that promo code NOAH. When you do, again, when you play $5, you'll get $50 in free lineups just for signing up for Prizepicks with code NOAH. But good luck this week, guys. Let's cash out. Let's make some money. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.